morning everyone, and welcome back to the vlog. I think summertime is one of those really tricky times of the year, especially for landscape photographers, when you're faced with blue, clear skies and lots of bright light. And I find the best thing to do when it's that time of the year is come to the west coast, where chances are we're going to have some cloud and some rain. And what I'm doing today is I'm heading to one of the rainforests located in Scotland on the west coast here, and I'm going to look for compositions within the woods. So I'm going to have cover from the trees, we've got cloud, we've got a bit of drizzle, which will really punch out some of those colours, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we can find. So let's go take a look. So I've done a number of workshops here on the west coast, and one of the most frequent questions I'd get asked is, how do you find compositions within a heavy wooded forested area? And it's finding that beauty amongst the chaos. And I thought, what a great topic for the vlog for today. When we're taking photographs of a single subject, they're a lot easier to compose. We know roughly where we're going to position them and how they'll appear within the rest of the scene. But when we're in a busy area like this and there's lots of elements within our photographs, we need some form of point of focus that is going to draw the eye through that image and keep people's interest. So I've only just come off of the path and started my way into the forest, and already I've come across this beautiful old oak tree that's covered in this stunning moss, and it's got ferns growing out of the side of it and is a real character of an oak tree. But also on my other side, we've got a boulder that's come down, and it again is covered in moss and surrounded by this grouping of trees. Now, what I'm thinking about is the tree in itself makes a really nice point of interest. Is it going to be too much to include the boulder? And these are the sort of things that we're thinking about. And what's surrounding it? What's behind? What's the backdrop? And I've got these silver birches, which are very dark in colour with the light behind them. So that creates an interesting pattern, but it's breaking it down. Are we including too much into our image? So what I'll do is I'll take a few shots. I'll take some shots of just the tree on its own, include some of these branches. I'll take a few shots with the boulder as well, and then look at them and see if we're not overcomplicating our composition. So my first composition is fairly straightforward. What I've done is I've removed all of the distracting elements. I've not included the boulder, I've not included the trees on the left-hand side, but we've got this stunning oak tree covered in its moss with the light just touching the left-hand side, and this small group of boulders in front of it covered in moss. And then, as you can see on the back of the camera, we've got these dark silver birches that are just standing in front of the light that is breaking through from behind. We've got the path running through. you know, it's one of those things. The trouble is, if I get any lower, then what's going to happen is I'm going to be looking up into the sky and I'm going to be capturing all of that bright light that's coming through the trees. But I think for the first composition, I think it's a great start. I'll take this one and then we'll adjust the camera position and see what else we can include. So I've come across my next scene and we've got this beautiful old branch which is covered in moss on my right here and just coming out from the right hand side, and then we've got these two oaks up behind me there, and the closest oak is really catching the light. We've got the moss and the ferns growing all the way up the side of it, and it really is quite a stunning grouping of textures on that tree. And what I'm trying to do is position the camera to bring these elements together. There's a lot going on around. We've got trees, we've got ferns, we've got bracken, we've got everything everywhere. So what I'm trying to do is bring those elements together to make one nice, neat composition. I'll show you on the back of the camera. Right, so if you look on the back of the camera, you can see we've got this old branch which is coming out to my left hand side, and by moving the camera around you can see that if I come too far to my right, we start to separate those elements just that little bit too far, whereas coming around to my left we're starting to bring that branch a little bit in closer with our two trees sat behind. Let me just readjust the tripod there. Let's just bring that back up. And I really like the way that the light is just touching that oak on the right hand side, and we've got the light which is touching the moss and the bracken, sorry, the ferns on the top of that dead branch which is coming out towards me. There's a few branches here on the left hand side which I'm just gonna, when I take the next few shots, I'm just gonna pull that to the side very carefully so that we don't damage those in any way. And really it's just a real nice simple composition that is bringing those elements together. Everything is so incredibly green at this time of the year, and what a range of colours and textures that we actually have, from the mosses to the ferns to the grasses. I'm just walking on a blanket of forest and it really is stunning. it that I'm looking for when I'm walking around in a forest area like this? Well, it's the things that catch your eye. It's the light, it's the textures. Usually light first is the first thing that really draws you in. I was walking across past this tree, and as I came back up the hill and turned around, the light capturing the moss coming up the side was the first thing that caught my eye. And then I started looking around it to see, okay, what other elements make up that picture? And on the left-hand side here, we've got two silver birches, which are just sat to the left of it. The one on the right-hand side mimics the shape following up that main oak tree here. And then the second one has got those lovely branches which are sweeping off onto the left-hand side. And it really does form a beautiful composition. I'll show you on the back of the camera. So you can see we've got this oak, which is obviously my main subject, with the broken up moss that comes up the side there, growing up this left-hand side, which is obviously where the light is coming through the forest, and that's what's really attracting the moss to that side. And what's nice is because it's broken up, we've got these textures and we've got those shadow areas. And then, as I was saying, on the left-hand side, we've got these silver birches. We've got the one on the left with the branches that are sweeping out over to the left-hand side, which really fill my image area to that side. And then we've got the one on the right, which just follows the shape of the oak tree, which is my main subject. I've positioned myself really to sort of try and separate the trees as much as possible. You're never going to be able to do that when it's this dense in a woodland like this. But yeah, I think it'll make a good composition. I'm shooting on I'm shooting on ISO 100. There's no breeze at all. I could probably go down to ISO 64. I'm not really worried about sort of shutter speed. There's not a movement here, which unfortunately means that there's a lot of midge. But what I'm really doing is just honing that composition in and reducing the amount of elements that are in there, reducing the amount of trees to simplify it as much as possible. And well, I'll take a few shots, and here it is. If you're enjoying the video so far, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. It really helps the channel. Just checking to see if anybody's home. I couldn't resist getting a shot of these two old oaks. They look like they're in mid-battle, deep in the middle of the forest. Maybe they're fighting for the light, maybe they're fighting for space, but maybe it's just my imagination. But should be a good shot. Of course, a lot of people come to the West Coast for those dramatic mountain scenes and those seascapes which stretch on for miles. But coming to the forests, they're just as inspiring and it's just as dramatic. So I think I've come across my last composition of the day, and I mean there's so many beautiful stunning trees around, but this one in particular has caught my eye, and that's the one behind me. You can see that beautiful oak with the branches twisting, and the light is just coming down through the other trees and just capturing that beautiful moss, which absolutely changes colour when the light hits it. And then I framed that tree with these two lovely straight oaks by either side. We've got one on my left and one on my right. We've got some rocks covered in moss just in front of me, and then this old branch which just sits, gives it a little bit of foreground interest. I'm going to take a few shots. I'm going to take some portrait, framing the image with these two beautiful oaks, but making the main feature obviously that stunning oak tree that's backlit behind me there. And then we'll take some landscape as well, so portrait and landscape. And well, if it's any good, here's the shot. Well, I think that's it for today. I think we've made the most of the light, but I definitely think it's time to get back for that cup of coffee. So anyway, hopefully we've managed to find some of the beauty amongst the chaos, and we're coming away with some lovely images, but it's just been absolutely stunning being out here in the forest and really enjoying the peace, quiet and the beauty of it all. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.